from Bill Penny Toyota, sitting out here in the service department. Their doors have just opened. The show has just started. Each Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., they can service your vehicle. Then on Saturday, it is 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. here at Bill Penny Toyota. They can service your vehicle, service any vehicle that you have. Just bring it on out here. You can give them a call, 256-837-1111 to schedule your appointment here at Bill Penny Toyota. Let them take care of all of your vehicle needs. We're going to take care of all your show needs for the next 2 hours. Got a lot of good stuff here. 256-576-4977. That's how you get through the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline to join the show on a Wednesday morning. So we are off and we are ready to go. Going to be another warm day here in the Tennessee Valley, so make sure you stay hydrated, stay cool, do what you can do to beat the heat. And there has been a ton of talk about conference realignments and everything, and got us thinking, going back into the archives, way back into the archives, and I mean way back into the archives, going all the way back to 1921, in fact, and that was the Southern Conference. We talk about the super conferences being formed. We talk about how the SEC could have 23 teams, 24 teams. The Big Ten could have 23, 24 teams. But did you know back then, in 1921, there was the Southern Conference that consisted of 23 schools. You had Alabama, Auburn, Clemson, Duke, Florida, Georgia, Georgia Tech, Kentucky, LSU, Maryland, Mississippi State, North Carolina State, Ole Miss, Sewanee, South Carolina, Tennessee, Tulane, Vanderbilt, Virginia, VMI, VPI, and Washington and Lee. 1921 to 1932, 23 schools in the Southern Conference.
Yep, and we're headed that way again. I don't think there's any doubt about it. I think the Pac-12, it's perilous right now about them surviving without merging with the Big 12, which I think is what's going to eventually happen. No doubt about it. There's been a ton of conversation about that, about them adding 4 and maybe even 6 schools to the Big 12. But there's no question that I think in the coming weeks, months, that's going to be a huge topic of conversation going into the 2024 seasons, 25. Certainly, it doesn't look like anything's going to happen by 23, but I do think within a couple of years you're going to see a major realignment, especially, and it's mostly going to have to do with college football.
But you look at that, you look at those 23 schools, that's a heck of a conference. I mean, that today, that would be a heck of a conference with the exception of, I mean, there's no way Sewanee is coming back in.
Washington and Lee, no.
Yeah, and Washington and Lee, and then, VMI and VPI. And Tulane, but that's a heck of a conference right there. In today's terms, in today's world, that would be a heck of a conference. Then in 1932, though, 13 Southern Conference schools decided to form the Southeastern Conference.
Mm-hmm.
Sewanee and Tulane stayed with that, and we became an original member of the Southeastern Conference back in 1932 when it was formed in Knoxville, Tennessee. That is where the original agreement was signed to form the Southeastern Conference. But I thought that was interesting, though. Alabama, Auburn, Clemson, Duke, Florida, Georgia, Georgia Tech, Kentucky, LSU, Maryland, Mississippi State, North Carolina. They've all been a part of the same conference before. And it's kind of funny that at the whole start of all of this, they all could be back sometime in the same conference once again.
Well,
it's pretty funny.
Yeah, most of the conversation yesterday with the Big 12 and the Pac-12 revolved around Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, Utah, and then there was some buzz too later in the day about Washington and Oregon eventually joining the Big 12. Like I say, to me, it makes the most sense. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Then we'll see, what happens to the ACC and, if they start getting raided by the SEC.
Yeah.
But certainly I think to me, it's almost inevitable that we're headed to a merger between the Pac-12 and the Big 12.
Colorado's athletic director came out yesterday and said, actually, the chancellor and the athletic director came out and said that they support the decision of the Pac-12 board of directors this morning to begin conference media rights. We are committed to the Pac-12, look forward to being an active participant in those conversations. And that is because the Pac-12 yesterday morning, right after our show, decided to not wait any longer, not wait to figure out who is coming into the league, not waiting to figure out anything else, but decided to start their rights for media discussions, their media rights discussions yesterday, just to kind of see the value of their conference. Let's go out to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Johnny's with us this morning. Good morning, Johnny.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Johnny.
So I would say that the Pac-12's dead man walking. That the Big 12 wishes they could rescind their offers to UCF, Houston, and those the Week 5 that they added, because they know they could probably grab 6 from the Pac-12 and leave them in shambles. I believe the SEC could poach North Carolina, Clemson, and Florida State, and leave the ACC in shambles. And then you've got the rest of the people trying to pick up the pieces.
Well, Johnny, I will say this: if the SEC tries to get North Carolina, I think Duke's going to come with them. I don't think you can separate those two schools because of the rivalry, and I wouldn't want to if I were the SEC. I already know I have the best football. I don't care who the Big Ten, invites and how much money their teams are getting because of the TV markets. The football in the SEC is better than the Big Ten. It's a fact. It's been better for 25 years. But what I'm trying to do is trump the basketball. and if I can get
that's money.
Duke and North Carolina,
but it's football driving the bus. I mean, I
it
like
is
basketball and everything, but
yes, it is.
I mean,
it is. It's
about
driving the bus.
It's about whatever's going to bring in the most money.
Yep.
That would be like adding another Vanderbilt to the league. I mean, I don't know. I guess everybody has to have a patsy somewhere, but I mean, but my original or the reason is that it's been a while since I've been able to get through is that, look, if Texas A&M doesn't get slapped on probation because of what their assistant coach got on video doing, and all that did is validate Saban and make Jimbo Fisher look like a crawdad.
I would agree with that.
You're out there going, oh, we did it the right way. We don't, and then you get a recruit catching your lead recruiter on tape going, you see these windows, those guys behind those windows going to pay y'all a lot of money to come play football here. I'm like, okay, that's all it is validate what Saban said, and and you basically bought your team.
Yeah, it does.
Buying.
Well, I mean, it's what I've started saying is hashtag 1939. When you've not been relevant for a long time and you haven't come close to winning a championship, that's the way you react. That's what Texas A&M's doing, and then Miami hasn't been relevant since really 2002, maybe around there. So and Mario Cristobal, John Ruiz, they're being very aggressive. I mean, basically right now, I loved Mario when he was at Alabama, but Miami's buying a recruiting class. That's basically what they're doing right now. And and Tennessee's been trying to use NIL to attract talent, and they got Nico Iamaleava, but what they're finding out is they're having trouble closing the deal with some of these guys like Magoa and some of and of course Malik Benson. They haven't been able to close the deal with some elite recruits. Now they did get a young man in 2024. We'll see if they hold on to that guy. But again,
we'll see. 2 years out. I mean, that's a long time.
Yeah, that's a long time.
But are we going to be at the assumption now? Are we at the point in college football right now where I don't care what school it is, if you get an elite kid, that you are somehow getting that kid there and enticing them with NIL somehow, some way?
Well, certain schools,
I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying that at
but
the
I mean,
end of the day, at some point, I mean, the other part of this equation is going to be the portal. I mean, you guys are going to get there. They're not. The one thing Saban has done with 5 stars is he sent them to the NFL. I think he's got like 48 or 52% of his 5-star kids get drafted in the first round, and that's like 5 times greater than any other staff in America right now. So at the end of the day, getting the talent is important. Developing it into first-round material is where he's done it, where nobody else has been able to. I do think Georgia is building is copycatted the program about as good as anybody has, and I'll tip my hat to them for that. I mean, I still don't think that Kirby has brought himself into the 21st century of offensive football, but he certainly got a winning formula for the defensive side of things. And, I think Kirby's track record for quarterbacks is eventually going to be his downfall, or is going to be the thing that keeps him from being able to rinse and repeat.
Well, we'll see. I will say, I think the schools like Georgia, Clemson, Alabama, they're NIL, they're going to try to take care of their players, but I don't think that's the sole reason that kids are going there. I think they're going there they want to win games, they want to be developed and go to the NFL. A lot like those 3 schools, Ohio State.
Right.
I know that Ryan Day said he needed $13 million for his roster, but they've been competing, getting into the playoff. These schools like Tennessee, Miami, Texas A&M, they're going to have to show quickly within a couple of years. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're going to have to they're going to have results. They're going to have to start competing for championships. They're going to have to start getting guys to the NFL, because the NIL is only going to take you so far. And I'm just guaranteeing you within a couple of years, there's going to be a salary cap put on the NIL. So it's going to be more of an even playing field. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how some of these teams and schools can recruit if they can't pay a kid $300,000 or $400,000 straight up front when he's never even took a snap yet.
What's going to be interesting to see is
to me, it's going to be hard though to salary cap the NIL with the fact that I mean, I get, and it's going to have to. You're almost going to have the players have a union and then have a standardized procedure, because if not, I mean, right now the NIL is the free market enterprise that that this country's kind of built on, and you're suddenly gonna tell a kid, let's like that gymnast who's got 1 billion followers on Instagram, that she can't make the money that because she's being capped by the NCAA. I think I don't know that gets to happen, but I do know that at some point in time, you're right. If you don't put it on the field, these kids are going to say, why am I staying up here? I'll just go and I'll get in the portal and I'll go to the schools that are winning. And that's the one thing I'll say that Saban has adapted and adjusted to. He's grabbing the kids he needs to fix his roster on a yearly basis through the portal and still maintaining a top 3-5 recruiting on the 5-star kids coming out of high school.
Yeah.
I mean, he just got the number 1 JUCO commit throughout the country. And that's where, I mean, I think that's why he's playing chess where everybody else is playing checkers. And if you want to score or scoreboard, you can just go ahead and put it down. If Alabama can beat Texas A&M or ATM 63-0 this year, there's a gigantic that quarterback for ATM will probably look like he's been in a car wreck this year. I mean, they're gonna maul him.
Johnny, thanks for the call,
Appreciate
man. We've got to move on. There's 2 things one, this is all going to be depending on how fast and how quickly the NCAA wants to get something done. Because right now, they sit there and they say the NIL, the way that their people are using it is not right. This is not the intention. We're going to start cracking down. We're going to do this and we're going to do that. They haven't done any of it yet. They haven't issued and come up with a new policy. They haven't done anything yet. So until the NCAA legitimately comes out and says, these are the guidelines, this is what's going to happen, we're going to start doing this, you're going to keep seeing what we're seeing. That's not going to change.
Congress is going to be involved. That's what it's going to end up being a nationwide thing.
It's going to have to be, but right now,
it's not right now, and that's why ATM and Miami and Tennessee are being so aggressive and and hiding behind state laws where their state, tweak some laws so they could be able to compete in NIL. But again, I just think it's not sustainable. It's going to be something that is not. The NCAA will have something to do with it, but it's mostly going to be, something that's a nationwide thing that the government regulates, and so that's what it's going to be. They'll still get NIL there. It's never that you can't put that genie back in the bottle. That's going to continue to happen, but it's just going to be streamlined, and it should be, because kids shouldn't be getting that kind of money coming out of high school. It's asinine. But schools that do that have been getting their heads caved in for many years and are trying to establish their programs. And, of course, I don't think it's sustainable. I think Johnny brought up a good point about development. If you're sitting on the bench, if you're not doing your job, or if you decide I've got a hangnail coach, I'm coughing, I got hay fever or whatever, I don't feel like practicing, I'm going to go play golf, because, again, that's what I'm saying. Because they're already getting their NIL money. How do you stop it? Because again, as they always try to say, these are booster related deals. This is not something where the university's paying you.
Right. No, these
or
are the
coaches.
collectives that are doing
the collectives.
This. Yes.
So it's somebody that's not even affiliated, quote unquote, like employed by your university. So they're getting this on the side. So that's where the Pandora's box is being created, and that's why Coach Saban has been so adamant in saying there's not going to be a caste system, because it would create issues with your roster, because of, you got freshmen showing up that are making more money, quote unquote, than guys that have already established themselves.
Let's stay on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Pat is with us from Tuscaloosa. Good morning, Pat.
Good morning.
Morning, Pat.
Hey, man. I appreciate you taking my call this morning, Jerry. You know what I want to talk about, Malik Benson. Malik is probably rated the top player, regardless of class even. This is a phenomenal get for Alabama. Coach Saban he just continues to excel, and recruiting is a process. And the fact that we've already moved to number 8 in the country with only 10/11 players is that this class can be epic. What do you think, Drew?
Well, I think it's on the track to be really good, no doubt about it. I know people are worried about NIL and things of that nature and how it's going to affect the class. Somebody asked me the other day on social media, I believe it was Twitter, what do you expect Alabama's class to be? I still think it's going to be top 3, because I know Alabama's not paying the kids up front like some of the schools I just mentioned. And if I were Nick Saban, I wouldn't either. But Alabama's track record of success, their track record of development, their track record of putting guys in the NFL, I still think it's going to win out with a lot of kids. And again, it would be different if Alabama was saying, okay, we're not playing the NIL game at all. We're not paying these young men. They are. They absolutely are. Everyone is now getting paid, especially it's mostly – any college athlete can get paid, but it's mostly going to be most prevalent on the Power 5 level, and Alabama's doing that. They're just not doing it in a what I would call an unethical way, with how some of these kids are building their recruiting classes, some of these schools, are building their recruiting classes. So I still think they're going to get elite talent. There may be a few kids they miss on because they won't pay up front. But again, that's just one of those things. I think Nick Saban knows they can still, attract enough elite talent. Again, there's a ton of football players out there, and I don't think every kid is necessarily looking for a huge NIL payment up front. Some of them are, and that's just the way it is. And if that's going to be the case, there'll probably be some kids that Alabama backs off of, and that it is what it is. But we'll see. I will say, though, we'll see what happens with Peter Woods on Friday. A lot of people still thinking that he's going to choose Clemson, but he still has to sign with Clemson. We saw what his teammate Traquan Fagans did last year. He committed to Miami by December. He signed with Alabama. We'll see if that holds. if that young man chooses Clemson. I know people are concerned about Quay Russaw, James Smith. Just let it play out. Maybe even Kelby Collins over at Gardendale. I do think Alabama is going to continue to handle this. And again, Pat, I think the recruiting class is going to be just fine. It might not be number one in the country, just like Texas A&M ran away with it last year. Right now, Miami's on a path to have a really good class. But again, you have to get these kids to buy in. You got to get them to play. You got to get them, and you have to develop them. I still think in the end, Nick Saban understands that. I think within a couple years, things are going to change again, and he wants to already have his system in place where there is nothing, where you don't have to totally change your approach. You continue to, build your program, your roster the right way. They're doing it the right way. Jimbo Fisher, dirt neck, is a liar. He doesn't tell the truth. Every other word out of his mouth is a lie, and so that's why he's the new Hugh Freeze. Where, we'll see if in a few years if he's coaching somewhere like Southwest Texas State or if he's still at Texas A&M.
Hey, if you can we talk just a second about Arkansas? On the 4th of July, they got a recruit from the number one athlete in the state of Oklahoma, Micah Tees. He's a 5'11" corner, and Jimbo wanted him real bad. I personally know about his recruiting because the kid came and stayed with me while he was visiting Alabama, and that it's just amazing that you do understand that in Arkansas, if they want to turn loose of the money, John Tyson, who was a member of Arkansas's 53 class or so, owns one of the largest chicken conglomerates in the world, and other
Tyson
types
chicken.
of meat.
Yep.
And hey, if the Walton kids want to turn loose of any money, nobody can compete. You do understand that, don't you?
Oh yeah, Walmart.
There's going to be
no doubt.
There's going to be a lot of college places that you're going to find out. There's a lot of big donors behind the scenes. A lot of universities have these guys where they're able to
look at Eric Musselman's recruiting.
Chime in. All right, Pat. Thanks for the phone call,
Appreciate
bud.
it,
Let's stay on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Lloyd is with us this morning. Good morning, Lloyd.
Morning, guys.
Morning.
How y'all doing?
Doing well.
You were saying, Drew, they may have to cap this thing, and I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know if it's gonna take legislation. I don't know if it's gonna. I think it's gonna cap itself in a year or two, because I think some of these donors, you might as well say, if they don't see results in a year or two, I think they're gonna dry up. They're not gonna keep giving money in a losing cause.
Yeah. I mean, that could be part of it as well.
Then what happens on the opposite side, though, too? Let's say Texas A&M does have success.
Yeah.
Let's say Miami does have success. We talk about the fact that it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. The NCAA is going to have to come in and do something about it.
Stadium.
But what happens, though, if there is success and the NCAA is slow to react to everything like they have been?
I just don't think it's going to be. I think the NCAA will be going along with Congress, but I don't think it's going to. I think it's going to be something that's a nationwide thing, where there'll be enough heck raised about it. And again, you're not going to put the genie back in the bottle, but it's going to be a big enough. I think the NCAA is going to go to the government and ask for the help because that's what they need.
They've been there. Yeah, that's what Mark Emmert was there way before, and nothing got done.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. I think that's what's going to be the impetus to getting this, taken care of.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly, the only reason NIL's around is not because of the NCAA. It's because of Ed O'Bannon's court case and taking it national and taking it to the court system. So again, it's going to be something that's going to be federally regulated. It's not going to be an NCAA thing where they, simply figure it out themselves. They're going to need a big assist. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think also there's going to be a premium fallback on coaching itself. I mean, I've never been a big fan of the star, 4-star, 5-star, 3-star, whatever, because as we've seen as Alabama fans, you can get 5 stars down there, and ability-wise and physically and everything, but you can't see what's between their ears.
Right.
and there's been, we've seen 5 stars that have never taken the field, and I think there's going to be a premium fall back on coaching also, in that you're seeing people recruit more 3 and 4 stars and trying to develop them rather than pay out the money for the big 5-star recruit.
Yeah, no question about it.
That's very well a possibility.
It's a possibility, and Lloyd, there's no doubt that it's a situation where there are going to be some kids that don't handle the process as well. It's just a fact, because being a 5-star recruit doesn't guarantee you anything. For every Antonio Alfano, there's a Josh Jacobs who was overlooked and who ends up being a kid that was underrated and ends up being a first-round draft pick. So again, it's just part of it, and that's another reason why I think it's going to end up being regulated. Kids are going to get money straight up, but it's going to be a situation, I think, within a couple of years that you're going to have to wait till you enroll in school, and you're going to have to wait until you actually, to make the big money, the Bryce Young money, the Will Anderson money, what would have been, I'm just using an example, what a CJ Stroud, what he's doing, you're going to have those skins on the wall before you make that kind of cash.
All right, Lloyd, thanks for the phone call. We got to get to a break. Let's get that first break in. When we come back, and to continue the conversation, 256-576-4977, live from Bill Penny Toyota.
Yep.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got 3 new accidents. They're all in Morgan County. 231 and 36 in Lacey. That one may have an injury. 31 in Nance Ford Road. Don't have an injury report there. And I-65 northbound 319 mile marker. That's near Falkville. Not sure on injuries on that one. Heat and air on the Blink. You pay only a service charge, never a diagnostic fee. With D&L Refrigeration, 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
By now, you know that sound. It's the sound of the Home Depot. But what about those sounds? Those are the sounds of ice from LG's exclusive slow-melting craft ice for better-tasting drinks, making this the sound of savings on top brand appliances. The Home Depot. How doers get more done. Get up to 25% off plus $750 instant savings on select LG appliances. Valid June 22nd through July 13th, U.S. only. Gas range extra. See store for details.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us, too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
Your representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
Did you know that your car, truck, or SUV may be worth over 30 or 40% more than it was last year? It's true. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and we'd love your trade-in for a personalized custom factory order on a 2022 Explorer, Expedition, Ranger, or F. We interrupt this message to announce our $1,000 appreciation cash reward. Attention all active military, reservists, retirees, and all veterans, plus first responders, police, fire department, EMTs, and medical professionals. An appreciation for making Huntsville the great city it is. You'll receive a $1,000 exclusive reward in addition to any public offers on most all 22 Fords. So please come see us today. Our Ford Gold certified or low mileage, gently used vehicles with great warranty. At Woody Anderson Ford, whether it's a new order or a pre-owned, we promise to always do the right thing. Corner of Jordan and Sparkman. Hope to see you soon.
Tired of the same old menu options everywhere you go? Then you need to try Metro Diner in Huntsville and Madison. The award-winning Metro Diner serves up signature dishes like their Charleston shrimp and grits, famous fried chicken and waffles with strawberry butter, and lots more. Their entire menu is available anytime, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And stop by for brunch on Saturday or Sunday and enjoy the lowest price mimosas in town. Airport Road, Huntsville, and Highway 72 in Madison. In diner or at home, make it Metro Diner.
This is Chuck Oliver. Listen to me coming up at noon today. Now, back to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We're live from Bill Penny Toyota, sitting out here in the service department on a Wednesday morning. Wednesday that will still be warm around the Tennessee Valley. Temperatures expected to hit the 90s today. Excessive heat warning again for Madison County. So just stay cool out there today once again if you are working outside. Let's stay on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. We think. Is Jeff from the Borough still with us?
How's it going, guys?
What's up, Jeff?
I just want to say, y'all talking about all this conference stuff. 50 years ago, this is the 50th anniversary of Title IX. And back in the early 70s, when the law was written, it was all about education. It wasn't written about no athletics. But everybody said back then, administrators in football, you can't do that. It's going to ruin college football. We can't have women in athletics. You can't have them playing sports. I mean, I watch specials right now that a woman should work it out, and they should work out on campus or wherever, and people would call her, you fat blankety blank. What are you doing working out? Some woman, she wanted to be on the Olympic team, and a professor told her, if you want to ruin your body, go ahead. Go ahead and ruin your body. And we can't have that. We can't have women in sports. You can't give them money. Take the football money. It's going to ruin college football back then, back in the 70s. All these old football coaches and administrators, they're all dead now. I'd say 98% of them now. It's been 50 years. I wonder what they think of this, what they think what's going on. All this other stuff, all this other messy conference expansions, and all this other mess. I mean, I think some of it now, I don't think they want to do it. I don't think some of these schools want to do it now. You give it to women's sports. They just got to do it. There's Title IX out there, the federal law that says you got to do it. Like out of Division I, you used to, I think it's still the case, you got to have so many men's sports and women's sports to be Division I. That you can't, outside of football, because football has so many scholarships and all that stuff. But there's some schools now that they wouldn't give money to women's sports if you get to tie their hands to the table to give them to tennis or track, whatever sport it is, and stuff like that. And I wonder what they would think. And don't tell me, the top first caller, don't tell me you like basketball. Give me a break. You like it in May. You and Shawshank Redemption and Rand and Spencer put y'all's knowledge of basketball in the thimble. Don't give me this stuff. And North Carolina and Duke are patsy. Like guy wrote up here, college football is like the NFL, the AFC South and the NFC West, 2 20-team conferences. Be like the NFL would have a Super Bowl for college football, like these two former players said. And you got players out here announcing their commitments on Instagram and Twitter, all this foolishness. And you got other stuff going on. ATM, where they can do it. NIL's legal now. ATM, they can do what they want to. It's just Bama don't want to do it, but ATM will. So we can't help Bama. Ain't got no money down there. Y'all don't want to sell alcohol at y'all's athletic events. So but I mean, this stuff has been going on for years. Where football don't want to give to other sports. They don't want to help them out. If some of these ADs, I think, if they could come out tomorrow and say, we'll have football on our campus and the other sports you go fend for yourself, basketball, baseball, go raise your own money. We don't want to fool with you. Softball, track, tennis, go raise it for yourself. We don't need you. We just take football and be done with it. Because football's the king. That's true, Scott. It's the king in America. Ain't nobody else care about nothing else. You ain't worried about no basketball, baseball, and other stuff. I don't care about what's soft. Don't you give me this stuff about College World Series and viewing and all this stuff. Ole Miss and all this. Give me a hotty-toddy. What kind of cheering hotty-toddy of being bam, Ole Miss by damn? Come on. Hang in there, guys. Give me a break. Come on.
Well, first of all, Jeff wants to sit here and say that I don't care about all that. I do, because, one, I have a ton of friends, of close friends that have kids that are swimming, and they're headed to Division I schools. And financially, I know how strapped a lot of these schools are. My son's a runner and trying to go Division I and running junior college. Trust me, I know the financial hardships. He's talking about college baseball. College baseball has 11.7 scholarships
because of Title IX.
Because of Title IX, and Title IX, yes, and he is right. Title IX is done in 1972. It was meant so that nobody, and I applaud Title IX for when it did come out, and there was a reason and there was a need for it. No person in the United States shall be on the basis of sex be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. That's the wording of Title IX. And he is right. Schools have to have a Division I, have to have a minimum number of teams or sports offered, varsity sports offered. And Title IX has changed the way that a lot of those sports are offered. There are schools that have women's sports that do not have men's sports in that competition because of Alabama has rowing as a women's sport. They don't offer it on the men's side, but it's a way to equal out the sports gap. Auburn has equestrian on the women's side to equal out a lot of those scholarship gaps.
Vanderbilt doesn't have softball right now. They may eventually add it, but they have bowling, and so that's how they kind of even it out. Not all schools have bowling as far as a scholarship sport, but Vanderbilt does. But I will say this: Jeff is ranting and raving about nobody cares about this and that. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's been about a year and a half, I guess, but didn't he continue to call our show in 2020 and rant and rave about Kentucky winning the volleyball national championship?
Yes, he did.
He wouldn't let us hear the end of it.
Would not let us hear the end of it. No.
About how nobody's giving Kentucky any credit for being volleyball national champions, and now he's trying to discredit everything but football and say nobody cares about basketball and yada yada yada. I mean, come on. He was ranting and raving about volleyball, and that was great. It was great for the Southeastern Conference, but I disagree with that. I think there's a lot of people that care about basketball. Of course, he's referring to Kentucky especially because Kentucky is still a basketball school, though. Mark Stoops is certainly very popular right now in the Bluegrass State with what he's done in football. But, again, I think overall, I do think that
but as we were told last week, though, Kentucky is a football state.
It is.
And that's what we learned that.
And I understand that what Johnny said earlier, I disagree with him saying Duke's like adding to Vanderbilt. I mean, Duke basketball is a lot more
I think he was talking about the football,
aspect.
But here's the thing, what it does add, though.
yes, football-wise, they've struggled. There's no question about that for most of their existence. But what it does is it gets your brand in the state of North Carolina and all that in that TV market, because you're not in there right now. And then you get the two most prestigious schools in that state.
Right.
And so that's what you're talking about with Duke and North Carolina.
So the other news that came out yesterday, and this is kind of entertaining.
Yeah.
Now, you go back in the time, and the Big Ten and the Pac-12 created an alliance when the SEC added Texas and Oklahoma, and we were like, okay, what is the alliance going to do? It's going to be a scheduling thing where the Big Ten and the Pac-12, they're going to try scheduling each other. Well, we don't know what's going to come of the alliance because two of the members have gone to the Big Ten, and we don't know what's going to happen there. So that leaves the Pac-12 kind of searching for ideas. Well, apparently, according to reports, the ACC and the Pac-12, this is kind of funny, have discussed a loose partnership. I don't know if you're a partnership. I don't know how it can be loose or not. I think if you're a partnership, it's a partnership. But they discussed a partnership that could end the season with the conferences playing a conference championship game in Las Vegas. Now, they believe the idea was proposed by the ACC, and it's been seen for a way for the conference's common right holder, ESPN, to increase the value of their current media rights contracts.
Well, you can't. Neither one of them have contracts right now that are worth that much. So it's not going to enhance their value that much just to move a game to Vegas. If you suck, you suck. And they basically do in football. So it doesn't.
How could you have two conferences, though, coming together to play a conference championship game?
I would think what it would be to me would be a doubleheader. It would be an ACC championship game and a Pac-12. You can't play against each other.
No, that's what they want. They want to play against each other.
Well, just stop it. It's a stupid idea unless you're going to merge as a league. Because that's basically what that is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they want to play against each other.
Suck wants to merge with Suck, and both of them will still suck. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to help yourself because the quality of your football is terrible. Okay. I mean, it's just you're not going to create a money grab because, again, the quality of the football, especially without USC, if they get back to where they need to be, and you don't have UCLA either, the Pac-12 and Oregon and Washington don't want to be there either. And so it's going to stink. And the ACC right now stinks. Okay. Their football isn't any good. And, heck, even the basketball is slipping.
Right.
So it's going to be really interesting to see what the futures of both those leagues are. No question about it.
So the 6 schools that the Big 12 are supposedly looking at, Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, Utah, those are the primary targets. Oregon and Washington also under consideration. How funny would that be if Colorado ended up back in the Big 12 where they left the Big 12 to go to the Pac-12 just a few years ago? It'd be kind of funny.
It's just one of those things where that's the climate we're in right now.
Yeah.
And if I'm the Pac-12 and the Big 12, that's what I'm trying to do. I know the Pac-12 is putting on this facade like, okay, we're moving forward with 10. We're trying to get this media rights agreement. You're not going to get nearly as much money. They're not going to give it to you without the Los Angeles market. So you might as well merge with the Big 12 and try to negotiate as much money as you can, okay, and get in a league and just understand that the days of the Pac-12 are probably over. And you can thank Larry Scott and some of the other moronic leadership that you had that probably voted for Joe that got you in the position you're in now.
All right, let's get that final break in of hour number 1. Talking Ball live from Bill Penny Toyota, sitting out here in the service department. They're open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Good morning. We've got 3 wrecks in Morgan County, 231 and 36 in Lacey, 31 in Nance Ford Road, and I-65 northbound at the 319. Sounds like that one may have a good bit of blockage. Cajun Rice is back at Popeyes, and their 11-piece chicken family meal, 2 sides, 5 biscuits, now only $22.99. Popeyes University in Jordan, 72 in Jeff, and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
The world champs are back. The Braves are out to defend their world championship. And behind Matt Olson, Ronald Acuna, Dansby Swanson, Max Fried, and this loaded 2022 roster, a repeat is within reach.
There goes Ozzie, 2-2 on the way, hit well. Deep center field. Might have ourselves a tie ball game. You betcha.
And we'll bring you every huge moment of the Braves 2022 season right here on the Atlanta Braves Radio Network.
This is Wes Neighbors with Philip with Eagle Insulation, and we have an announcement to make.
Yes, Wes, we are now Eagle Masonry and Insulation. Still a place to call for your installation needs, but now we offer masonry services.
What kind of masonry projects can you handle?
Wes, no job is too big, no job is too small. We can do renovations, new construction, outdoor fireplaces, fire pits, brick landscape borders.
Well, when you came out to my house, you did both the insulation and masonry at the same time. You guys did rock for me, you did brick for me, and you insulated my house. That's usually done at the same time that you're building a house.
Absolutely. It really capitalizes on 2 services you need at the same time, and you can get one company to handle both of those.
Philip with Eagle Insulation will come out, do your installation. He'll do your masonry. They do a great job. They guarantee your work. Check out more online at insulatewitheagle.com and schedule your free examination today. 256-755-1556.
Thanks, Wes.
When our lives were interrupted, Madison Academy immediately began distance learning instruction thanks to our Apple device program and a well-prepared faculty.
When our success in athletics led to a new competitive balance rule, Madison Academy was prepared to face the new challenges head-on.
We understand a thing or two about winning, and it always begins with preparation. Learn how our balanced approach to learning prepares the mind, body, and soul. Visit our website at macademy.org to learn more. Strong minds, strong faith. That's Madison Academy.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
So who is Wes Neighbors?
He's going to put an ass whooping meter on next year.
Does Wes know?
1 or 2 or 3 cans of whoop ass.
We can all figure it out. Weekday afternoons, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond hanging out until 9 a.m. Las Vegas has said these are your win total projections for the 2022 college football season. We are 59 days away from the start of the 2022 college football season. And 3/4 of the conference, they say, will finish above 500 in the league. Alabama, they say, leading the way at 11.5 wins. Georgia, 10.5. They put Kentucky at 8.5 wins. Texas A&M at 8.5 wins. Over-under there for Jimbo Fisher, meaning that is another 4-loss season for Jimbo Fisher, according to Las Vegas. Florida 7.5, LSU 7.5, Ole Miss 7.5, Tennessee 7.5, Arkansas, Mississippi State at 6.5 wins, Auburn, South Carolina, and Missouri at 5.5, and Vanderbilt at 2.5. Those are your projected win totals according to Vegas updated odds with 59 days left to go before the college football season.
Interesting, because I would agree with them with Texas A&M. Arkansas, they got a brutal schedule, but I do think they have a good football team. I think they could win 8-9 games. I know Jake Crane has even said 10. I don't know if I'm going to go there, but I still think they can win.
So you're over on that 6.5.
Yeah, I would go over with them. I think they've got a good football team, but we'll see. You never know. Sometimes it's different when the expectations go up, and they do. Again, starting with their opener at home against Cincinnati, it's tough. I mean, they've got a really tough schedule, no doubt about that. And so we'll see. And LSU at 7.5, they're a wild card. I'm going to be really interested to see Brian Kelly in year one. They've got to figure out the quarterback position first, and that battle's got to have to kind of play itself out. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if they were in the 8-9 win range if they come together offensively, and then and they're a little bit more cohesive defensively than what we've seen the last 2 years under Ed Ogeron.
All right, so if you look at this, if you kind of break it out into divisions according to the win totals, obviously Alabama, Georgia 1 and 2 in the East and West respectively.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky would be number 2 according to this in the East, and Texas A&M would be number 2 in the West with 8.5 wins. And then you'd have LSU, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Auburn would be the bottom end of the SEC West.
Well, if Auburn finishes 6th or 7th, then they're going to be having a coaching search.
Well, 5.5 would give you a coaching search. If Auburn hits that number according to Vegas of 5, that would be the end.
7 to 8. If they can get to that win total, I think we'll see a third year for Brian Harsin. If not, then Yellowwood and their other people win out, and they'll end up with a new head football coach.
Is that too low though for Auburn at 5.5? Is that a disrespect or a slight in any way, or is that just a reflection of last year?
I mean, it is. It's all of it is. Most of it is a reflection of last year. I mean,
right.
I mean, come on. And with Arkansas, who had a pretty good football team, I think it's also their schedule, because you could argue that they got the toughest schedule in the country, or at least the toughest in the SEC. But with Auburn, I think it's based on last year, and it's they have those SEC network takeovers. I was watching that Auburn Ole Miss game, and Auburn won that game.
Right.
Played very well against a good Ole Miss team. And it's funny. It was kind of like Nick Saban's first year. They were ranked 16th in the country, and they were 6-2, and then they lost 5 straight. And most of those were excruciatingly close. They got whipped pretty good by Georgia, but Georgia was pounding a lot of people last year until they ran into Alabama. So I don't know. I mean, I just think most of it's last year. And historically, when Auburn doesn't have a lot expected of them, they can surprise. And so we have to wait and see, how the quarterback battle with Zach Calzada and TJ Finley plays itself out. Most are predicting Calzada, but he didn't even practice in the spring.
No.
We got to see how he plays. We got to see how the wide receiver room plays itself out. Is Tank Bigsby going to be better this year? How's the offensive line going to be?
How's the offense going to look, period, under Eric?
You've also changed defensive coordinators. There's a lot of questions. But Auburn does have 5 home games to start the year, and I've said this repeatedly. Worst case, they've got to start 3-2, but really they need to start 4-1. And if they do, then Harsin's got a shot, I think, to have a good year and come back. If they're, if they end that 5-game homestand with a losing record, he may not make it to November, and they may have an interim coach. So we will see. But again, there is definitely pressure, and Auburn's going to have to really, I think, start quickly.
All right, 256 Well, actually, no. Let's not give that number out because we are just about done with our number one. Horn's going to sound here in just a little bit. What I was going to say is the good news is the calendar reads July 6th. We are 12 days away from converging in Atlanta at the College Football Hall of Fame for this year's SEC Media Days, where we will get a chance to vote for our order of finish, our
I
projected
certainly won't be
finish.
voting Dirt Neck as Coach of the Year. You can guarantee you that.
I am curious to see where you slot Texas A&M in the West.
Probably no higher than 4th. Maybe, we'll see. But
I mean, seriously, where would you project Texas A&M? That is something we'll go over because we got 12 days before we get to SEC.
Because I think
Media
Arkansas and LSU are going to beat them. Maybe Ole Miss. I might put them 5th. I mean, we'll see. I don't give a damn how many 5 stars they sign. So,
well, the expectations for those 5 stars are going to be high. All right, let's get a break in. When we come back, Drew Dallas is going to join the show. Going to talk some Alabama football recruiting.
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-306
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Good morning from the traffic center. Working on 3 wrecks, all in Morgan County. I-65 northbound, 319 mile marker, 31 in Nance Ford Road, and 231 and 36. All those should be out of the way pretty quick. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. When you need cardiac care, you need the heart doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace Avenue can help. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Partly sunny sky this afternoon. It is going to be another hot day across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. Temperatures have no problem climbing into the mid and upper 90s. Heat indices somewhere between 105 and 110 degrees. Maybe an isolated, widely scattered shower or thunderstorm across the Tennessee Valley through the heart of the afternoon, early into the evening. The vast majority of us are going to end up staying dry. Temperatures dropping into the low and mid 70s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Heads up, sports bettors. Right now you can try VSiN All Access free for 30 days with no credit card required. Visit vsin.com/free month to sign up now.
3 players set as favorites in this year's Genesis Scottish Open underway Thursday. John Rahm, Justin Thomas, and Scotty Scheffler each at plus 1,200 odds, followed by Xander Schauffele at plus 1,600 and Matthew Fitzpatrick at plus 2,000. College football season starts next month. Alabama favored to win the national championship at plus 200 ahead of Ohio State at plus 425. Defending national champion Georgia plus 475 and Clemson back near the top at plus 1,200 along with USC. The Braves minus 195 on the money line tonight against the Cardinals at plus 160. The over under 8.5. Max Fried getting the start for Atlanta against Miles Michaelis for St. Louis.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 97.7ESPN.com.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Just like that, we're back. Hour 2 of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you, hanging out here inside Bill Penny Toyota's service department, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. They can handle all your vehicle's needs. And then on Saturday, you can cruise on in here from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Let them take care of your car. Oil changes, tires, tire rotation, battery checks, anything that you need for your car. Head on out here to Bill Penny Toyota. And then while you're here, you can kind of mosey on over to the showroom, take a look at all the new Toyotas that they have available for you. Great financing deals available here at Bill Penny Toyota. And Bill Penny Toyota, part of our SEC Media Day tour package that we'll have for you. And we're going to be there in 12 days in Atlanta at the College Football Hall of Fame. Recruiting. Alabama picks up a junior college wide receiver.
They do. They picked up a couple of guys from this program that we're about to speak to their head football coach. He's heading into his third season. He took over at the end of 2019, and of course, as everyone knows, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the junior college football season was played in the spring. In his first year, though, making some history, the Hutchinson, Kansas Blue Dragons, the first national championship ever in program history, a 9-0 run, and then a number 3 national ranking after last season in year number 2. He's headed for year number 3 this fall. And his name is Drew Dallas, and he's been good enough to join us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline here live from Bill Penny Toyota. Coach Dallas, you're with Drew DeArmond and Scott Tyson here in Huntsville, Alabama. Really honored to have you on the show this morning. Thank you for your time. How are you?
I'm good. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on, and excited to talk Malik Benson and just kind of what he brings to the table.
Yes, sir. And before we do that, though, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about his host on his recruiting visit, and a guy, it's kind of interesting. It was because of Malik Benson. Alabama was recruiting him and coming to watch you guys practice and work during the offseason. They found tight end Miles Kitselman. He's an interesting story because I know he had an abbreviated career for you from Linden, Kansas, after enrolling at Hutchinson, but they needed a blocking tight end. He certainly caught their eye. But for our listeners, we've only gotten some tidbits about Miles. Talk about him a little bit too, and his journey to Alabama, which was kind of a unique situation.
Yeah, Miles has a really interesting story. I think number one, he's from a very, very small town here in the state of Kansas. Played 1A high school football. Played 3 sports for him there. Never really got a full off season of development. So, Miles' first off season, I guess, in a football program took place this past winter with us, and he made some huge strides. He started for us from day one, stepping on campus. He's a 6'6", 250-pound, really good athlete that's willing to put his face mask in there and be physical with guys. And, I think that's hard to teach a lot of times. And a kid with his frame and athleticism, he's got a ton of upside, and really excited to watch his career progress. I think as he continues to go and put on that muscle mass, he's going to be a really special player. Excited to see him work this fall there with Alabama.
What kind of body frame then do you see him growing into?
He's not maxed out by any means. I think he can continue to add muscle mass. He's not a kid with a whole lot of baby fat on him or anything like that. But I do think he's going to get a chance to really develop his upper and lower body. It wouldn't shock me at all if he ends up being a 260, 265 inline tight end that moves extremely well. He's a kid that we were able to flex out and do some things with because he runs well enough to create some mismatches. But really, Miles' strength is being on the ball and split back a little bit off the line of scrimmage and just being physical with guys. There's certain things he's got to learn, but he's a very coachable kid. And from technique, I'm sure he's going to be coached extremely well and be able to get developed in that, in that aspect of things. And just like I said, I think with Miles, being a 3-sport athlete in high school and being from a small program, the sky's the limit for his development, especially in the weight room and off-season program. And I know at Alabama he's going to get a chance to maximize that.
Well, and Coach, I know he only caught 3 passes for you for 16 yards and a touchdown, but you've seen him in practice. You talked about flexing him out. What kind of upside does he have as a receiver at the position? I watched the film that you guys put up on Huddle. It's obvious that he definitely, as you said, doesn't mind putting his face mask in someone's sternum and will block. But what kind of receiver potential does he have?
Yeah, I think he's got a good chance to, make people play him honestly and not cheat it, and I think that's the thing with tight ends is if they're good on the ball guys, a lot of times they don't have that ability to stretch the field vertically or be a mismatch problem, and I think Miles has the kind of potential to where he can be a mismatch for a linebacker, and you're going to want to keep a safety near to help out if needed, and I think that opens up a lot of other people on the field. And if they do leave him isolated with a backer, he's certainly going to be a guy, I think, in the future that can make those guys pay. So it wasn't something that we ended up asking to do a ton in our offense. He had an MCL injury about halfway through the season, kind of when he was really starting to hit his stride in his freshman year with us. Had that repaired and came back towards the end of the year and was really starting to roll again when the season ended. But I do think that that's going to be part of his game that he's able to expose some people on and take advantage of, just especially as his career moves forward.
And we're talking to Drew Dallas, the head football coach of the Hutchinson Community College Blue Dragons in Kansas. And Coach, of course, now we go to Malik Benson, who some people have as the #1 rated overall junior college prospect in the country. Certainly, he had a huge impact on your program as a freshman a year ago. After you signed him out of the state of Kansas as well. He had 43 catches, 1,229 yards, 11 touchdowns, a very dynamic young man. As we already mentioned earlier in the conversation, that's actually who Alabama was coming to watch when they found Miles Kitselman. But this young guy from the jump made an impact in your program and has really developed rapidly for you.
Yeah, I mean, #1 with Malik, he's a great individual. He works extremely hard at what he does, and he's earned, everything, all the success that has come to him in his young career already. But he's an explosive athlete. He's 6'1", right under 200 pounds. He can continue to develop in the weight room as well. He played in an offense in high school that was, option-oriented, option-based, and really didn't get a whole lot of targets or exposure from that. When he got here, he was really raw as a receiver. But he's an extremely coachable kid. He's a great athlete, and a lot of that stuff does come natural to him. And we saw the progress just week by week. And, when we'd go back and watch games in order, the Malik Benson of week 1 was not the same Malik Benson in week 2. And you could see that every week. He just continued to develop with those game reps and playing the position. Coach Cody Cook, who was our receivers coach at the time, did a great job of developing him from a technique standpoint. And, I think the encouraging thing as a coach is when you see that progress on film and you can tell that each week that kid's getting better and better and better. And he puts the work in too. He does not shy away from that. And I think that's what makes him really, really special in the long run.
That's the goal of junior college though, right, Coach? I mean, that is the goal. A lot of these kids are not developed, not ready to hit that major college level coming out of high school. Malik developing. Is he ready there now to be at that next level?
I think so. I mean, his production in this league, which is a very, very good junior college football conference, probably, one of the best in the nation, hands down. He's seeing great talent and practicing against great talent every day. And I think the success and the production that he had as a freshman, I definitely think he's ready and available. Ready to take that next step. But, I think one more seasoning here in junior college and he's going to hit the ground running, with Alabama when he gets there in January next year.
And Coach, I know, there's that old adage, you either get better or you get worse. And obviously this kid's got a great work ethic. You talked about it. And then the thing is, the development on and off the field. Obviously, when he signed with you out of Lansing, Kansas, you mentioned it. There were he had earlier in his high school career, he had had some academic struggles, but he's gotten to touch, and I know he's a guy. From what I understand, he's got a 3.5 GPA, so he's learned how to handle himself academically, and he's learned how to work and develop in your program as a football player. Talk about how the young man has developed both on and off the field for you in the year plus that he's been with you.
Well, you kind of alluded to it. Guys come to junior college for multiple reasons, but at the end of the day, it's to develop, whether that's in the classroom or on the field or even off the field at times. And I think for Malik, he really needed that development on the field, and he put the work in. But in the classroom, he stepped in. He's proven he's ready to go as a college student athlete, and been an honor roll kid since he's got here. I think he just had to battle back from a slow start in his high school career, but very intelligent. Same thing with Miles Kitzelman. 3.5 plus GPA, both very, very smart kids. Their development and kind of just how we structure our program is we try to make it as similar to a 4-year program as we can with what we're working with. And, we want them to develop here so they're ready to take that next step and not have any kind of, hiccup when they get to those 4-year programs. We want that transition to be smooth for them. And both of those guys have bought into that since day one of being here and just doing the things you got to do as a college football player to be successful. And when guys come into our program and they do those things, it pays off for them in a big way. And those two guys are great examples of that. Just coming in, business mindset, professionals at what they do, even at the junior college level. And I think with Malik, a great example of that is he goes through the recruiting process. He's very thoughtful. There's a lot of schools recruiting him, but he handled it the right way from day one. He makes that commitment post at 1 o'clock, and at 1:10, he's out on the field running routes with quarterbacks and a group of other receivers yesterday. And, I'm sitting in my office on my computer, walk around the corner of the hallway and look out the window and, answering text messages on Malik, and he's out there working already. He just doesn't get caught up in the other stuff that's not important. It was a business decision for him. He made it because Alabama offers him a great opportunity to develop, and he knows that he's going to have to continue to put the work in. And I thought that was pretty cool yesterday, just seeing that. That was a great example of who he is as a person, who he is as a student athlete, and what you guys can expect for him watching him play in an Alabama uniform.
Yeah, no doubt. And Coach, he had great choices. He went on and he handled his official visits in the month of June. I know he wanted to get them out of the way so he could concentrate on his sophomore season and trying to help you guys win a second national title. He visited Alabama, but he also visited Georgia, LSU, Oregon, and Tennessee. And I know you counseled him throughout the process. For him, I know it was a business decision, as you just mentioned, but what do you think set Alabama apart for him over those other 4 institutions? Because he had some amazing choices, some of the best programs in the country recruiting him.
Yeah, in all 5 of those programs, especially the ones he tripped, he couldn't have really gone wrong, and I think, my job as a head coach is just to listen to him and what's important to him and just kind of help him through those things. But he's got a great head on his shoulders. He doesn't get caught up in the hype or anything else. The things that are important to him are the things that matter in the recruiting process. And like I said, I don't think he could have went wrong with any program, but I think he felt like there was a great fit at Alabama to develop him and maximize his potential in his time there. And he's not a kid that, he's planning on going, 1 year and done, or he's just going there to get better every day and kind of let the chips fall as they may. And I think for him, when you walk through the facilities at Alabama and the things that they've been able to do and accomplish with the guys that have gone on and put the work in, there's so many guys that have been successful, whether it's a first-round draft pick or moved on to play for a long, long time in NFL careers. And then just the opportunity to consistently, be in that national championship hunt is important for Malik. And I think, that's really what set them apart at the end of the day was just knowing that, hey, this isn't just about me. This is about me joining a program that's going to compete for a national championship every year and have the opportunity to do that and be maximized in my development by the time I leave there.
And speaking of that, it's not too bad when, Holman Wiggins, I know, is going to be his position coach at Alabama. From what I understand, he put him on the phone with Devontae Smith and Jamison Williams, a couple of guys that were developed at Alabama, one in 1 year with Jamison Williams coming in from the portal at Ohio State, but then Devontae winning the Heisman and being a guy that for 4 years was developed at Alabama. That had to, I would assume, it made a difference with him as well, because that's where he's ultimately, whether it's 1 year or 2 at Alabama, he wants to reach the highest level.
Yeah, and Malik knows that, a lot of guys have come in here and done this before. He's got the measurables, he's got the times and the athleticism, and all those things are verified and legit. And, for him, it's about perfecting a craft. And I think when you can, from a recruiting tool standpoint as a coach, when you can get guys in touch with the young man you're recruiting and say, hey, don't take it from me, take it from this guy that won the Heisman, or this guy was a first-round draft pick, and really listen to how they were developed here. There's no gray area in that, and I think it's not something that's based on hope or anything like that. I mean, the proof is in the product, and I think for them, that was a great recruiting tool. Certainly didn't hurt anything to get phone calls from those kind of guys, and I think Malik, in his mind, hey, he's going to go in and work and hopefully be one of those guys in the future can do the same thing for a young man coming through.
Well, and you've already talked about it, Coach, about him putting in the work even yesterday after committing on social media and then going out and working with the rest of the receivers and the quarterbacks. I know, of course, you counsel him still, and you guys work very closely. You're an offensive guy. You are the head coach and the quarterbacks coach. You were the former OC there before taking over as the head coach in late December of 2019. But with Malik and what you've looked at, he improved rapidly last year, going from an option offense to your pro-style system at Hutchinson and the spread attack. What parts of his game does he need to improve on going into his sophomore year? What have you guys talked about that he needs to polish up?
He's such an explosive athlete, and he's a long stride kid that can really run. I think at times, he sees areas of improvement and just getting in and out of breaks and controlling that speed at certain times. It's when you run a 10-400 meter dash and you're running full speed, it can be difficult to get in and out of some long cuts or some shortcuts like that. And I think for him, just the transition of speed into a route. Certainly the release is a very technical part of playing the receiver position when guys are getting hands on you at the line of scrimmage, and you got to marry your feet up with that, especially when you're such an explosive athlete and can gain ground quick. Just continue and develop, and those are things that he really got better at through the course of last fall. But there are also areas I think, he'd be the first to tell you, hey, I can continue to improve on and be consistent with. But, I mean, there's not a part of his game that's, he struggles with. There's just areas that he can continue to improve, and excited to be able to work with him and continue to try to develop in those areas to maximize what he can do.
Well, Coach, we're really excited to see him in the state of Alabama. Starting, I know he's going to enroll early at the end of December into January, but we hope he has a big year for Hutchinson and the Blue Dragons, and you guys can once again be one of the best junior college programs in the country and hopefully win another national championship for you in year 3. But we're really excited about him and Miles Kitzelman. We'll see Miles, of course, this fall in an Alabama uniform. But we appreciate your time and giving us some insight into both these young student athletes that you've helped develop. And we hope to be talking with you again down the road, because I'm sure you're going to have some more talent that's going to be being recruited by Alabama and Auburn and nationally. But thank you for your time this morning on Talkin' Ball, and we really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on, and looking forward to watching those guys as well.
All right. 8:20, let's get that break in. We are live from Bill Penny Toyota. The show, the conversation, all the fun continues after this.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Good morning from the traffic center. Working on 3 wrecks, all in Morgan County. I-65 northbound, 319 mile marker, 31 in Nance Ford Road, and 231 and 36. All those should be out of the way pretty quick. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. When you need cardiac care, you need the heart doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace Avenue can help. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
The world champs are back. The Braves are out to defend their world championship. And behind Matt Olson, Ronald Acuna, Dansby Swanson, Max Fried, and this loaded 2022 roster, a repeat is within reach.
There goes Ozzie. 2-2 on the way. Hit well. Deep center field. Might have ourselves a tie ball game. You betcha.
And we'll bring you every huge moment of the Braves 2022 season right here on the Atlanta Braves Radio Network.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
Did you know that your car, truck, or SUV may be worth over 30 or 40% more than it was last year? It's true. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and we'd love your trade-in for a personalized custom factory order on a 2022 Explorer, Expedition, Ranger, or F. We interrupt this message to announce our $1,000 appreciation cash reward. Attention all active military, reservists, retirees, and all veterans, plus first responders, police, fire department, EMTs, and medical professionals. In appreciation for making Huntsville the great city it is, you'll receive a $1,000 exclusive reward in addition to any public offers on most all 22 Fords. So please come see us today. Our Ford Gold certified or low mileage, gently used vehicles with great warranties. At Woody Anderson Ford, whether it's a new order or a pre-owned, we promise to always do the right thing. Corner of Jordan and Sparkman, hope to see you soon.
This is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now more of Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on your home for Crimson Tide Sports 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Roll Tide.
Back Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you for another about 30 minutes. As we come to you live from Bill Penny Toyota, sitting out here in the service department, enjoying what will be a rather warm Wednesday afternoon. Still, though, we are out here and about, and the heat kind of turning up on college football recruiting as well, and the heat kind of turning up a little bit on the Auburn Tigers. I guess you could say just a little bit, simply because Brian Harsin and company really trying to make some headway, and they've made a lot of headway.
Well, they are starting to, no doubt about that, and they got some good news on the July the 4th, and we're about to talk about that with our next guest, recruiting reporter for Auburn Live on 3.com, and a guy that's going to be in an enviable position in just about a couple of weeks, as he will be headed to St. Andrews for the British Open. He's also a big-time golf aficionado. But Keith Niebuhr with us now to talk some Auburn football recruiting. Keith, welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm good. I can't believe you had Eli Gold say "Roll Tide" as I came on for my segment. Oh my God! How could you do that to me, guys?
I don't even know. Well, you know what? Though, that's kind of funny. I mean,
I'm just kidding. Y'all, you guys have to pay your bills too, okay?
Oh yeah, no doubt
we
about
do.
it. Yeah, but in speaking, go ahead about we're talking about Carmelo English, of course.
Yeah. Everything's good. So Auburn, obviously picked up a couple commitments the 4th of July weekend. One on Friday, Jeremiah Cobb, 4-star running back from Montgomery Catholic. I'm sure you guys have talked about this, but I don't know who's heard it or who hadn't. But really a dynamic running back, 2,000 yards rushing, over 500 receiving, high acceleration, good top-end speed. So dynamic playmaker, little sleight of frame, needs to probably bulk up a little bit. And then obviously landing 4-star receiver Carmelo English on the 4th of July was significant. It was a little bit of a surprise in the timing. because he had postponed a July 2nd announcement without really giving any reason. But we knew that Auburn was still going to get him. Can take the top off of defense. Not a huge guy, 5'11", 180-ish, but fast, great hands, super high IQ. Comes from a good program, a program that throws the heck out of the ball with Patrick Nix as the head coach at Central Phoenix City. So those are two good pickups. But, obviously they've done well at times, but we're still talking about it being July 6th, and Auburn only has 4 commitments. That's fewer than anyone in the Southeastern Conference. It's only the 51st class in the country and 12th in the SEC. So there's a lot of work ahead. Guys, there's been a lot of misses, quite frankly. And so Auburn's working hard to try to change that around. Hilliard,
a big part of that.
Yes.
That recruitment there. I mean, Auburn wasn't even on the radar. Hilliard comes in and really spearheads that effort to get him on campus.
Yeah, and Auburn should be able to do better with guys in their backyard, but for whatever reason, they just haven't had a ton of success at Central Phoenix City. In all my years covering Auburn, I think this is the ninth year. I think John Broussard, the DB, the cornerback, may be the only signee from Central Phoenix City that ended up at Auburn. Javian Cohen was an Auburn commit, the offensive lineman, but ended up flipping to Bama. So they haven't had a ton of success there for whatever reason. So that's significant, too, to be able to kind of break that wall down and get a guy out of that school. But, Ike Hilliard's the guy that when I was in school at the University of Florida, he was in school at the University of Florida, and I covered the team. And he probably wouldn't remember me from that, but got to know him a little bit back then, 20-something years ago. And he was always a really smart guy. Like he was there's things I can sort of remember, but not clear enough to give you stories. I just remember him walking into the media room once when he was a true freshman, and he sat in with the media and started asking questions to, I can't remember, I don't think it was Steve Spurrier. I think it was one of the other players, but it was just funny and natural. And so what can you learn from that? Maybe nothing, but maybe he's just that kind of guy that is at ease with himself, comfortable in his own skin. And those are the guys that make good recruiters, quite frankly, that can kind of roll into any situation. He just walked into that room when he was an 18-year-old and felt comfortable around all the sports writers. And maybe he's that same guy. And so it was significant. I mean, Carmelo English said that, Ike obviously was a huge factor in this recruitment. This is a guy that's getting his feet wet as a college recruiter. He went straight from the SEC as a player to the NFL as a very good receiver to being an NFL coach. I mean, so he's not been a Power 5 coach before. And so he may understand the dynamics of coaching, but recruiting's changed a lot since he was a kid coming out of Louisiana in the 1990s. So he's got a lot to learn, but this is a good start. And also, don't forget, he's gotten 2 guys out of the transfer portal as well. Dzalen Worsham from Miami. I don't know how many people were after these guys, but I got them. Dzalen Worsham from Miami, and then Coy Moore, the LSU transfer. Now, Carmelo English also could have gone to Michigan or Kentucky, and other schools were after him too. I mean, so, it's a good win for Ike Hilliard, good win for Auburn.
It is, and Jeremiah Cobb is as well from Montgomery Catholic. And I know they got some disappointing news with Keldrick Falk, the edge player, yesterday going to Florida State. But they are still, after several on the offensive and defensive lines and quarterback. We talked to John Garcia yesterday about the Elite 11, and I know you've been tracking this, but Brock Glenn is a guy that they'd really like to get in there, get committed. I know he's getting interest now from LSU and Ohio State and some others, but I know he's been the top quarterback target, Keith.
Yeah, we don't have to sugarcoat things. Yesterday's commitment by Keldrick Falk to FSU was a significant blow to Auburn. That's an in-state kid. Auburn does not have any top 10 kids in the state of Alabama committed this cycle. That's big. That's not something we just can gloss over, or they can gloss over, quite frankly, as a staff. But and they know that. But Brock Glenn, a guy that Auburn offered in mid-April, I want to say, but he actually camped at Auburn last summer. Didn't get an offer at that time, and it took Auburn a while to come around. Now, they were still before a lot of these other programs. LSU offered recently. Ohio State offered recently. So Auburn was way out in front of them. But part of me wonders, what would have happened if Auburn would have offered him last summer or last fall? Would he already be committed? But that's neither here nor there. It's just something floating through my little pea brain. But, yeah, and another school to keep an eye on is Florida State here. Now, they already have a guy committed at quarterback, but they want 2. And, what's the connection there? Well, where did Mike Norvell, the head coach at FSU, where was he at before he was at FSU? Memphis. Where's Brock Glenn, the quarterback, at? Memphis. So we're being told that FSU is certainly somebody to watch with him as well. So it's a battle. When you're recruiting these best quarterbacks, that's what's going to happen. That's why you try to identify them early and get them in the boat early, because you know that it's going to be a feeding frenzy once everybody else finds out about a guy and falls for him as much as you did. So they got a lot of work ahead, but they're still involved in that one, still very much in it. I just don't think the confidence level was maybe where it was a month ago.
Keith, you mentioned Keith Niebuhr with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, and you mentioned that Auburn's had some misses, some tough misses coming up. Are you expecting any good news for Auburn fans coming up here?
Well, we think. I mean, you got Big Cat Weekend the last week of July. That's going to be significant. That's Auburn's big recruiting event each year. So you're going to have guys on campus then. They're working on multiple kids out of multiple states, but primarily within the normal footprint of Georgia, Alabama, and Florida. Gosh, I'm trying to think who could be next to.
That's tough.
It is. I mean, look, we do it every time somebody commits. We have a list of who could be next.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's not always that they're not always sure things. It's just guys that potentially could be next. And so let me go by position: running back, receiver. I need to think about this. Offensive line, defensive line, linebacker. Okay, linebacker Lewis. Well, I don't know. I'm just going to be honest. They're in so many battles. One guy to keep an eye on for sure is an in-state defensive back, Jacorius Hart. And he ran a 4.37 40-yard dash at Auburn, and then a week later ran a 4.39 at UCF to kind of verify that time. Super fast, super raw, but he's long. He's got that length you like at the cornerback position. I think it's Auburn's offered him, but they haven't really put the foot on the gas yet. I think if they do, he's also a high academic kid, by the way, 4.2 GPA. Vanderbilt and Duke are after him. I think if Auburn puts the foot on the gas with him in the next few weeks, he would jump in the boat. Beyond that, you're waiting on Brock Glenn, obviously. The quarterback, you got a shot with him. He wants to have a decision fairly soon. I don't think there's just going to be one of those weeks where there's 7 or 8 commitments. It's kind of a drip thing. Mm-hmm. But I'm put me on the spot. Sometimes I can't remember everything when I'm standing outside.
Well, my point though too is, and that's my point. I mean, it's got to be frustrating. As frustrating as it is for you to go through and have to sit here and try to figure out who might be next or where they're leaning for. If you're someone that follows the Auburn recruiting cycle right now, it has to be frustrating because, as you mentioned, only 4 commitments there. Yeah. It has to feel frustrating as well.
Well, 2 guys that are going to announce in July, possibly July. One of them July 28th, we know for sure, is 4-star cornerback Jakeem Jackson out of Kissimmee, Florida, Osceola, right down by Disney. He's got Auburn, Florida, Tennessee in his top group. Now, predictions are coming in for Florida, but we were told that Auburn's line of communication with him is still open, and they do not see him being done to Florida at all. He's a cousin of former Auburn great to Charvin Bell. You guys probably remember that name.
Yep.
And so they're very much in it with him. That's a July 28th announcement. Linebacker, I'm actually down in Tampa right now. Linebacker 5 minutes from me, Lewis Carter at Tampa Catholic. He's down to Auburn, Oklahoma, North Carolina, maybe UCF. I know Florida's working to get him on campus. But Auburn very much in play, and he officially visited in June. So that's a guy that's going to have a decision maybe in July as well. So there's going to be more guys popping up. And then obviously kids are going to be visiting for Big Cat Weekend. You never know what's going to happen then. Wilkie Denard is a 4-star edge rusher in Florida who's got Auburn, Florida State, Tennessee, Indiana in his top group. Well, Florida State just got a top 100 edge rusher yesterday. Tennessee's got 2 edge rushers committed. You can't always just look at who's recruiting a guy who's in his final group. Well, what else do they have committed? Well, if another school's got 2 edge rushers committed, that might be something to look at. So I think Auburn is trending up with Wilkie Denard, who's another guy out of Florida, Fort Pierce, Florida, which is about 45 minutes north of West Palm Beach. So they're in it with a lot of guys, and the class will come together. I think it's just going to come together a little more slowly, and kids are going to wait to see if these coaches are going to be around. We're hearing that a lot every day. Yeah. They want to know that these coaches are going to be around, but the reality is Florida State, those kids don't know if that staff's going to be around. I mean, if Norvell, who's had 2 losing seasons at Florida State, throws up a 4-8 this year, now with their schedule, that seems unlikely. But if they throw up another bad season, maybe he's not around, but yet they're overcoming that. So while Auburn's having to battle a lot of negative chatter from everything that's happened in the last 6 months, on the recruiting show, they're having to deal with that. Other teams have to deal with things too. You've got to fight through it. You've got to get guys. You've got to deal with NIL. It's challenging, but these assistant coaches make $500,000 a year or more. Some of them are 7 figures, or 8 figures, 7 figures. So, that's just the reality of being a college football coach. You have to deal with every circumstance. Auburn fans impatient, and quite frankly, I don't blame them. But better times are always ahead. That's the way you got to look at it.
Yeah, and then my final thought from you before we wrap it up with you. I know you were very busy, but is that and remember they've got multiple prospects at a school like Langston Hughes in Atlanta. They've already got one kid committed there, and they've got several others that they're heavily in the mix for.
Yeah, one of them is 4-star tight end Jelani Thurman, who Bama I think is very much in play there. Very good player, Georgia legacy. But I don't think Georgia's involved with that one. They've already got another Georgia legacy already committed at tight end. And so Auburn very much in play with him. Bo Hewley, the 4-star offensive tackle, committed to Georgia, but he's officially visited Auburn. If he ends up anywhere other than Georgia, it might be Auburn. And then you have another guy, defensive tackle Joshua Horton. Auburn, North Carolina, maybe some UCF there. Some other schools are after him as well. Normally a guy that I think Georgia would swoop in and take in a normal year, maybe 5 years ago. But Georgia's kind of recruiting nationally now. So that's to the benefit of everybody else. He's a really good player, 3-star ranking, but I've talked to multiple college people who think he's got 4-star. He's really a 4-star ability guy. So Auburn's very much in it with him. He was maybe going to decide this summer, but it seems like all these guys are kind of dragging it. They may want to, see how things shake out on the field, see how things shake out in the NIL world. There's a lot of factors in play these days.
There is. Well, Keith, we appreciate it. Thank you very much. We know you're on the road in Tampa and once again grinding, trying to get that intel for the Auburn fans. Let everybody know how to connect with you guys over at Auburn Live on 3. Yeah,
you just got to go to auburnlive.com. And if I could say, Drew, real quick, we got a great special going on right now. It's been going on like every day, but $1 for the first year. Now, that doesn't mean you just pay for $1 and then you're done. They're locking you in beyond that. Obviously, we're trying to get you there first and thinking if you're there, you'll like it, you'll love it, you'll stay. But it is a heck of a deal, $1 for the first year. You can't really beat that.
Well, thank you, Keith. Appreciate it. Thank you for the time, man.
Oh, anytime. Take care, guys.
All right, thanks, Keith. Keith Niebuhr joining us, talking some Auburn football recruiting. And if you are an Auburn fan, and if you are a fan or you are concerned of Brian Harsin, obviously we talked about it at the end of hour 1. Win total projections, and it was 5.5, and we said he's got to win 8. If you're looking at this and you're trying to find hope at the end of the tunnel, I'm trying to be optimistic and trying to be optimistic as much as I can. I know they're off to a slow start, and Alabama got off to a slow start as well, and they're getting recruits, and they're kind of coming here and there. Should Auburn fans really, though, I look at this, and I see 4 guys, and I see them missing out on a bunch of guys. Should you be really concerned that it's not going the way you would want it to go as far as recruiting goes for the next cycle?
I mean, you should be concerned but not surprised. When you almost fire your coach after the first season, that's what happens. Because I know Nick Saban only went 7-6 in year 1, but everybody knew he was going to be around and that they were laying the foundation to recruit very well.
Right.
Brian Harsin had his character smeared, had some things alleged about his family that was, I believe, untrue. There was a lot of consternation and just absolute chaos going on around that program. And you lost your defensive coordinator. You lost your offensive coordinator. You had changes on your coaching staff. So it's kind of a wait-and-see approach, and Keith kind of referenced that because they hear it every day. Is Coach Harsin going to be around for year 2?
Right.
Year 3, pardon me. Year 3. That's what it's going to come down to. If he is, then I think the recruiting will pick up and they'll be able to get some kids. And let's not misunderstand something right now.
So the results have to be on the field this year, you think, for those?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
But what I'm also saying is just because a kid commits to you, and this is for Alabama, this is for Georgia, this is for LSU, anybody, they haven't signed anything, okay? I do think a kid like Malik Benson, we just talked to Drew Dallas, is going to shut it down, and he knows where he wants to be, and it's a perfect situation for him. But again, any kid can open his recruitment back up. You haven't signed anything.
True.
And so there can be flips. There can be all kind of things happening. If Auburn comes out, what if they go 5-0 and win all 5 of those games? A lot of momentum is created. So again, things can change and things can change quickly. So certainly it's concerning. And certainly I'm sure there's consternation among the fan base because you heard Keith say it. They thought a few weeks ago they were going to get Keldrick Falk from Highland Home near Luverne. He chooses FSU yesterday, so they don't have a commitment from a top 10 in-state player. And as he said, the staff knows that. But again, things can change because there's two big dogs out there, James Smith and Quay Russaw from Carver Montgomery. I think Auburn would have to trail both Alabama and Georgia in those situations, but still they're recruiting those guys. We'll see what happens. So it's going to come down to what kind of season they have. If they surprise some folks, win 8 or 9 games, I think they'll sign a top 20 recruiting class. If they don't live up to, that if they don't take a step forward, and we already talked about the win projections, if it's 6 or less, then they're probably going to have a coaching change, and that'll affect recruiting. There's no doubt about it. I would say probably if that happens, you're going to hire a new head coach, new staff, and then you're going to end up with a situation where you're probably going to have to do a lot of recruiting in the portal. Yeah. And a lot of schools do that already. But, again, it's going to come down to on-the-field results for Auburn.
Just kind of keeps the Sharks there in the water a little bit right now.
It does.
And let's get that final break in. When we come back, we're going to wrap up our Wednesday show from Bill Penny Toyota here in the service department. Your tomorrow's headlines lead the way next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We're winding things up in pretty good shape this morning. Still may have some delay northbound I-65, 319 mile marker. That's in Morgan County near Falkville. Had an accident. Apparently no injury, but it did have blockage. Everything else is winding down nicely. Looks like most everybody's going to be in very close to on time. D&L Refrigeration repairs heating and air conditioning units for homes and businesses. D&L 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Progressive is America's #1 motorcycle insurer, so we understand motorcycles. No, really, we have a bike translator.
Okay, so this bike says she is struggling with her place in the motorcycle community. Well, she says she hasn't peaked yet, but she's having a little epiphany, okay? Oh, that maybe life itself is the peak. Interesting. In my experience, I found that... Oh, so I just translate. Not allowed to have opinions. Got it.
Quote with Progressive and see if you could save with America's #1 motorcycle insurer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
In 1982, Bob Baumhauer introduced Alabama to the Buffalo Wild Wing, and quite frankly, we've never been the same. Back then, it was Wings and Things in Tuscaloosa, but now, 40 years later, after 4 name changes, Baumhauer's Victory Grill is the #1 sports-themed restaurant in the state. Bob's Alabama Hot Chicken is something that has to be tried to believe, plus the new Bam Bam Chicken and the Louisiana-style Go Fish, a whitefish over rice topped with shrimp etouffee. And Baumhauer's is fighting inflation with some new affordable favorites. Visit Baumhauer's on the South Parkway today.
Flow Trampoline Park is Huntsville's newest destination for family fun. There's an inflatable park for the little ones, air track basketball courts for the sports people, and a variety of other aerial sports attractions. Plus, plenty of couches and TVs for the spectators. Book your next party or outing at Flow Trampoline Park. Refuel at our caf, or tap into your inner child with an arcade and 3 console gaming rooms. Flow is at South Parkway and Drake, behind the Cracker Barrel. Learn more at flowhuntsville.com. That's flowhuntsville.com. Get your jump on at Flow Trampoline Park.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500. good.
Download our app today. Just search 97.7 ESPN.
It's water and dust resistant.
That's 977 ESPN. We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
And that's it.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. By the way, it's National Fried Chicken Day, just in case you were wondering out there.
Nice. I guess I have to go to Popeyes today.
Anyway, 256-576-4977.
We'll have some of the great fried chicken. I know you've been bragging about it at Metro Diner.
Well, speaking of that, look, that's the picture that has just come up on my computer. It's Metro Diner's fried chicken sandwich.
There you go.
And I believe he was teasing us about that, or Jonathan was talking to us about the Metro Diner grilled or the chicken sandwich the other day. Anyway, 256-576-4977. That's the number. Oh, boy, that's the number of the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. You can get in on the comments or on the show here this morning. Just a little bit time left. The Atlanta Braves stay hot last night on the diamond. They rack up another win in the column.
Yeah, 7-1 over the St. Louis Cardinals. They've taken the first two games. Ian Anderson, he threw nearly 100 pitches in 5 innings, but he got through it. Battled, and then the bullpen was outstanding, including Connor Kuhn, he gave him 2 innings out of the bullpen. Did a nice job throwing strikes and having his command. And then we saw the return of Tyler Matzik in the 8th, who's been out since early May with a shoulder problem. The velocity wasn't quite there yet, nor the command. He did walk one batter, but he got through the inning unscathed. It was a clean inning, made a really good play on a comebacker behind his back. And so if he can continue to progress and get better, he will certainly be a huge addition to that bullpen. Yet again, the bullpen has been really good for Atlanta, no doubt about it, even with the loss of Luke Jackson for the season to the Tommy John situation. So certainly the bullpen looks like it's going to be a strength for the Braves. It's been really good lately. And that's with Kenley Jansen still out with certainly the irregular heartbeat. So we will see if Kenley can get back. But Will Smith has been closing some, as has A.J. Minter. And so I think the key is going to be, though, the starting rotation continuing to stabilize, watching Ian Anderson bounce back from the rough outing against the Phillies and throw well yesterday and compete and give them 5. And then they've got their ace going tonight, certainly, in Max Fried. So they got a really good shot to take the 3rd game of the series. Then you're setting yourself up for a chance with Spencer Strider, the 100-mile-an-hour man, to maybe even sweep the series. So a huge opportunity for the Braves. The bats are certainly coming back alive. Everyday Eddie Rosario is back also from the DL, Scott, since in late April he had the eye situation. Had to have a LASIK procedure done. He's had 2 hits in 2 games playing left field. So the Braves look like they're hitting their stride, and it's huge because the Mets are coming to town, in the coming days for a huge series in Atlanta. This is I think they've got 8 games left at home. This is a huge homestand for the Braves as the All-Star break will be looming here soon in July.
Wilson Contreras hits his 10th home run last night in the win. That gives the Braves 7 players with double-digit home runs before the All-Star break for the first time in the team's Atlanta era. You got Austin Riley, Marcell Ozuna, Dansby Swanson, Matt Olson, Travis d'Arnaud, and Adam Duvall all have hit the 10-home run mark. All right, something I found this pretty interesting, and I kind of got a laugh at it. Now, this is since the 2007 football season, okay? Kansas. We've talked about how bad Kansas football has been lately. I mean, heck, they were opening the gates and letting people walk into the Oklahoma game for free because they couldn't get anybody to go. Now, keep in mind, this is since 2007. Kansas has a BCS New Year's Six bowl win more recently than some of these programs in college football. And this is fun because this just, I was going through this list and I was kind of laughing at it, and it kind of gives you a chuckle. Mississippi State, Duke, Wake Forest, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Missouri, Syracuse, Arkansas, Arizona State, Arizona, Washington State, Colorado, Nebraska, Miami, Maryland, Minnesota, Cal, Kentucky, Washington, North Carolina, Northwestern, Virginia, Texas Tech, NC State, Purdue, Kansas State, Illinois, South Carolina, Nebraska, Oregon State, Syracuse, Boston College, UCLA. I just thought it was kind of interesting that we sit here and we talk a lot about Notre Dame. We talk a lot about these powers, and yet Kansas actually has a BCS New Year's Six bowl win since the 2007 over all of those schools. And we talk about, I mean, Kansas is a bad program right now, but a lot of those other schools have yet to climb that top either.
Well, I'm just counting, man. 7 more years. 7 more seasons completed. No national championship for Notre Dame. It'll be 40 years since they would have won one. 40.
I know they've appeared in more. I mean, okay, so we're talking wins. Yes, they've been there. They've been to the
That's
BCS
what I'm
title
counting
game.
on. 7 years. 7 more years, and it would have been 40 years since the self-appointed greatest program ever has won a national championship. 40.
Well, it's been 7. Let's see here. 2007, 2017 is 10, 18, 19, 20, 22. It's
7
been
years.
15 years. Kansas has won a BCS New Year's Six game. 15 years. Notre Dame hasn't even accomplished that in 15 years.
I'm just counting it down, man. I'm telling you. I'm counting it down. I mean, of course, it's not nearly as much ineptitude as ATM. That's 1939. They didn't even have bars on the helmets.
Right. They're not on the – I mean, they didn't make this list. But Tennessee made this list. Since Tennessee, Mississippi State, I mean, that's not a surprise there.
When Philip Fulmer started losing steam, when they blew the opportunity in 2001.
Yeah.
And the program was still good, but, by 2008, it had run aground. And Nick Saban started establishing himself at Alabama. And then it's been, 15 years of domination for the Tide. And that's hurt Tennessee. There's no doubt about it. Because Tennessee controlled the series before then. I mean, Coach Fulmer, during much of his tenure, controlled that series over Alabama. And since they were beating Alabama, the one bugaboo he had was Florida. But even then, they did beat Florida a couple times. And then they broke through and won a national championship in 98. So, but again, Tennessee has been mediocre for a while. It's why I mentioned them earlier in the conversation with the Miamis of the world, because Miami was a dominant program for 25 years or so, from the late 70s, early 80s through early 2000s. But they haven't been. Miami's fallen off the map. Certainly, Tennessee's fallen off the map. Notre Dame has been very competitive. It's not like they've been bad. They certainly haven't.
That's what I was saying.
They've made the playoff and things of that nature, and they've put guys in the NFL. It's still been a really good program. It's just they haven't climbed the mountain to be national champions, because for many years, especially when I was growing up, Notre Dame was still considered the standard. I mean, they were considered, when you looked at historically, the greatest program of all time. But now with what Nick Saban's done at Alabama, if you tell me that Notre Dame is still historically the greatest program ever, I'll laugh in your face, because it's Alabama and it's not even close.
Right.
Okay. Alabama, since the 1920s through now, has been the most consistently dominant program. Yes, they went through a drought in the 80s. Okay. But even then, though, they were still had some really good football teams. But, and then they won a national championship in the early 90s, and they bookended that at the end of the 90s with another SEC title when Mike DuBose did something that, Steve Spurrier will never live down. He beat him twice in 1 year. And then Alabama, by the late 2000s, has been on this run under Nick Saban now since 2008 has been on a 15-year run of dominance. So again, I
do
just
you
think,
look at this list though, and do you think someone's close? I mean, is Notre Dame the closest of all of these teams that we mentioned to getting a win in a New Year's Six? How easy for me to say, a New Year's Six bowl. Are they the closest of all of this list? Wake Forest is on this list.
I mean, Marcus Freeman is taking over as the head coach. You just had Brian Kelly throw up his hands and basically admit he didn't think he could get over the hump, and he'd taken Notre Dame as far as he could, and he goes to LSU to the SEC. So we'll see. Freeman is considered one of the greatest young minds in football, in college football. We'll see how he does as a head football coach. Right now, Notre Dame is putting together a really good recruiting class. They still have, an outstanding tradition. I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying it's not at the top of the heap like the University of Alabama.
All right, that's going to do it for our 2 hours of fun.
Yep. Thank you to Drew Dallas. Thank you to Keith Niebuhr, and had some great callers in the first hour.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff there. A lot of good stuff in that 2 hours. We're going to be back in studio tomorrow on a Thursday edition. It's a good short week here, but big thanks to Bill Penny Toyota Service Department for letting us sit out here for 2 hours, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and then on Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. if you need to get that vehicle serviced. It is Bill Penny Toyota. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning. Bailey, thanks for filling in for Chad. Chad, keep those feet up. Enjoy the week off.
Yeah, absolutely, and we appreciate everybody, and we'll talk to you tomorrow, and happy belated birthday to Samantha Berry, her birthday yesterday.
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you